Mailman drops letter, realizes it's addressed from his daughter who vanished. No way! This can't be real! Those words barely escaped Mark's lips as he stared at the worn envelope lying on the cracked sidewalk. His hand froze mid-drop, the mailbag slipping from his shoulder. The handwriting, familiar yet trembling, stared back at him like a ghost from his past. There, in faded blue ink, was the return address he never thought he'd see again. A small town halfway across the state, tied to a name that haunted him every day. Emily Harper. For over 12 years, Mark Jenkins had walked his daily route delivering letters, bills, and packages to strangers, never imagining one could hold the answer to the most painful question of his life. Where did his daughter disappear to? Since Emily vanished without a trace when she was just 9, Mark had lived with an empty ache. The police called it a cold case. Friends whispered about moving on. But Mark never stopped hoping. Now, as he knelt by the mailbox, the words, "From Emily," felt like a crack in the silence that had consumed him for more than a decade. A sharp voice from behind broke his trance. "Hey, you okay there? You dropped something." Mark blinked, swallowing the lump in his throat. He forced a smile at the curious passerby, his fingers trembling as he carefully picked up the letter. He wasn't just holding paper. He was holding a lifeline. As he stood, every memory of the past flooded back. The laughter, the last day he saw her, the unanswered calls, and the nights spent staring at her empty bed. Mark knew one thing with chilling certainty. This letter wasn't just a message. It was a beginning, and the truth it carried would change everything he thought he knew about the daughter he lost. Mark Jenkins wiped the sweat from his brow as he leaned against the rusty mailbox post, his heart pounding like a drum he couldn't silence. The letter felt heavier than anything he'd ever carried on his route. He remembered the day Emily vanished like it was yesterday. It had been a cool autumn afternoon in Cedar Springs, a quiet town where everyone knew each other's name. Mark, a hard-working mailman for nearly 2 decades, was home early that day, excited to take his little girl to the park. Emily had been his whole world, a bright, curious 9-year-old with wild chestnut curls and a laugh that could light up the darkest room. But that afternoon something changed. Mark had stepped into the kitchen for just a moment to grab a glass of water. When he turned back, Emily was gone. The front door was wide open, the screen door slamming gently in the breeze. He searched frantically, calling her name until his voice gave out. Neighbors helped. The police came. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, but no sign of Emily. The town whispered theories: runaway, kidnapping, accident. Mark refused to believe any of it. Every night, he sat by her empty bed, clutching her favorite teddy bear, replaying that moment over and over. What if he hadn't turned his back? What if he'd been there just a little longer? That guilt ate away at him in silence. His marriage fell apart. His friends drifted away. Mark threw himself into his work, delivering mail with a hollow smile, hoping each letter might bring news, hoping the world hadn't forgotten his daughter. Now, holding this letter, the same hope and fear collided inside him. What if Emily was reaching out for him? What if this was the sign he had prayed for all these years? Mark's fingers trembled as he ran his thumb over the worn envelope again. He had to know. Mark carefully pulled the letter from its envelope, the paper thin and creased from years of handling. His breath caught as he unfolded it. The handwriting, unmistakably Emily's, nervous, looping, but determined. The note began simply, "Dad, if you're reading this, it means I found a way to reach you. I've been lost for so long, but I'm coming home. Please don't give up on me." His hands shook as he read those words, the weight of years of silence crashing down all at once. But that wasn't all. Tucked inside was a small, folded photograph. Mark's eyes widened as he recognized the image. A faded snapshot of a park bench, worn and chipped, with a carved heart and the initials E+M inside it. It was the same bench they had visited every summer, before everything fell apart. There was also a crumpled receipt from a diner in a town 2 hours away, Crestwood. Mark's mind raced. Could Emily be nearby? Was she trying to tell him where she'd been? Had she finally escaped whatever had kept her silent for so long? The questions clawed at him, but there was one certainty. This letter was no accident. Somehow, someone had helped her send it. As he folded the letter carefully, Mark's phone buzzed in his pocket, a text from an unknown number. "We need to talk. Don't trust anyone. Meet me at Crestwood Diner, tonight, 8 p.m. Mark's heart slammed against his ribs. Was this a trap? Or the chance to finally find his daughter? He knew one thing for sure. Tonight would change everything. That evening, Mark sat in the corner booth of the Crestwood Diner, his hands clenched tightly around a steaming cup of coffee, nerves twisting like a storm inside him. The neon sign outside flickered as the minutes crawled by. Then, the bell above the door jingled, and a figure stepped inside, slim, cautious, with eyes Mark instantly recognized. Emily. She looked older, changed by time and hardship, but the spark in her eyes was unmistakable. Mark's breath caught as she approached slowly, clutching a worn backpack. "Dad," she whispered, voice trembling. "I'm sorry I disappeared. I never meant to hurt you." The diner fell silent around them, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Patrons stopped eating. Servers paused. Everyone sensed the weight of this moment. A father reunited with the daughter he thought he'd lost forever. Emily's story spilled out in broken pieces. How she'd been taken, hidden, and finally found the courage to escape. Mark fought tears, anger, and relief all at once, but as the crowd watched, he made a promise, not just to Emily, but to everyone who had doubted, whispered, or forgotten. "I won't let you go. Again," he said, voice steady but fierce. "We'll find the truth together." The moment wasn't just a reunion. It was a reckoning, and the journey to uncover the secrets behind Emily's disappearance was just beginning. In the weeks that followed, Mark and Emily worked tirelessly to piece together the shattered fragments of her past. Every clue led them closer to the truth, and to the person who had stolen those precious years from them. The town's quiet facade hid dark secrets, and soon the web of lies began to unravel. Emily's disappearance wasn't an accident. It was a cruel plan hatched by someone she once trusted. Detectives reopened the cold case, and under mounting pressure, the truth exploded into the open. The man responsible, a trusted family friend, was arrested in a tense public hearing. His smug mask crumbled as the evidence stacked against him. Hidden messages, secret payments, and the chilling truth about how he'd kept Emily captive all those years. Mark sat in the courtroom, gripping Emily's hand tightly. Justice was no longer a distant hope. It was real, and it was coming. Outside, a crowd gathered, watching as the man who tore a family apart was finally held accountable. Emily looked at her father, tears of relief and strength shining in her eyes. "We're free now?" she whispered. Mark nodded, knowing their journey wasn't over, but for the first time in years, hope was real. Months passed, but the scars of the past didn't fade. They became part of the story Mark and Emily now shared. A story of survival, forgiveness, and a bond stronger than time or pain. Mark stood outside the Cedar Springs Community Center, watching Emily speak to a group of local kids. She smiled, a radiant, fearless smile, sharing her journey to inspire others who had been lost or broken. The town had changed, too. Neighbors who once whispered behind closed doors now came forward, offering support and healing. Mark felt something inside him shift, a quiet peace he hadn't known in years. He carried no regrets anymore, only the fierce love of a father reunited with his daughter. Together they were rebuilding more than a family. They were building a legacy of hope, of second chances, of the unbreakable strength found in never giving up. As the sun set over Cedar Springs, Mark whispered into the wind, "Welcome home, Emily. We're just getting started." Mark sat quietly on the porch steps, the evening breeze rustling the leaves around him. Emily's laughter drifted from inside the house, a sound he once feared he'd never hear again. He thought about all they'd been through, the pain, the loss, the fight for truth, and something settled deep within his soul. Life doesn't always give us the closure we want. Sometimes the hardest wounds are invisible and the hardest battles happen in silence. But what mattered most was this: the strength to keep hoping even when the world tells you to give up, the courage to face the unknown no matter how dark, and the love that never fades even when years disappear between two people. Mark whispered to the night sky, "No matter where life takes us, we're never truly lost. We just have to find our way back." Because sometimes the greatest journey isn't about finding someone else, it's about finding yourself again. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to smash that thumbs up and hit subscribe for more unforgettable, emotional, and viral true stories. We want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell us, where in the world are you watching from?